pick up some stuff from him. But in the meantime, I figured we talk about fat loss, and I came up with this really cool video title to capture attention. All right. But the truth is, I'm going to tell you some of the same basic stuff because that's what causes fat loss. People are constantly worried about all these things. I saw a Twitter post and the guy was mentioning the three things that he looks at because somebody had asked him a question. And by the way, this guy's very smart, very jacked, shredded. And somebody asked him, the question was about like, oh, my fitness tracker, it doesn't I don't know how accurate the calories burned metric is. And his response was the exact same response that I've had for 15 plus years, which is, I don't look at that. I've never looked at that. I will never look at that. I will never look at that. I have gotten extremely lean. I have been very lean for the majority of the last 15 years. I am telling you, you want to pay attention to A, B, C, and then ignore everything. So, do you want to like what? It's crazy because it's if you see somebody who knows what they're talking about, sounds like they know what they're talking about, has the results that they know what they're talking about, has given evidence that they know how to produce results in clients for a long time. And then you ask a question that is responded to with a simplification, then you should be excited. A good coach doesn't add things to for you to worry about that aren't going to be necessary. A good coach removes all the bullshit and has you dial in and focus on the few things that move the needle. And so the three things that he had mentioned, which is the exact same three things I look at, he was like, we look at your weekly calorie intake, we look at your weekly weight average, right? Your rolling average. We look at weekly step count average, right? And that's it. If you do that, you're gonna lose fat. Um, and you don't need to know how many calories are being burned because you're watching the relationship of calories coming in, which should be consistent, and what's happening to the weight. Is it trending down? Is it trending up? Is it staying the same? Then we can make an adjustment, right? But you don't need, oh, how many calories am I burning? My Fitbit said this, my that said that. Like, you're making your life so hard. Focus on things that you like and try to do a good job. I was watching Tim Allen and Mike Rowe. Um, if you're a little bit older, you remember Tim Allen's show, Home Improvement, one of my favorite shows. Um, and and Mike Rowe is the guy who he created the show Dirty Jobs, which was also another phenomenal show. But they're sitting there talking, and then one of the things that they keep um, coming back to is just the satisfaction of a job done. And what they were talking about was that they interview all these different people in these jobs that are vital for society, but people don't really know about. And like, you don't know the guys working at the power and water development department facility. You don't know the guys working to make sure the sewer system is operational, and just all these jobs, where men are doing things, and a lot of the comments that they hear from these people is that they like that there's a start, they do the work, and then there's a finish. And they take pride in these jobs. um, Tim Allen was talking about, he has a couple. Oh, plumbers is another one, right? Imagine if all the plumbers, plumbers are amazing. So he's talking about, these plumbers that he works with, and these painters, and how organized their vans are, and they have everything. They have a process. This is how they go about blah 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 blah. They prep the site, they clean the site, etc., etc. The reason I'm bringing this up, other than the fact that I find all this type of stuff very fascinating myself, um, but the reason I'm bringing it up is in relation to this idea of like, stop worrying, like, don't make fat loss complicated, make it simple. And then logically we go towards, well, what do you do with all your time? Because you're not sitting here worried about, oh my god, I gotta take these supplements, I gotta research online, I gotta find out with, blah blah blah. So you have all this time and all these energy resources that you're gonna get back. What do you do with that? So that's why I brought up the Tim Allen and the Mike Rowe thing, is because whatever job it is that you're doing, or work that you're doing, you want to take an interest in it. You want to have enthusiasm for it. I mentioned this the other day as well. Magnus Carlsen, the world famous. All right, I think we're back online. Fucking, fucking 6 times, and I'm blocking. I'm like, just keep fucking calling. Like, just keep fucking calling. Like, not a fan. Um, this is wild shit that people think that that's the right way to do business, but we won't get into that. Just called like 15 times. The reason so Magnus Carlsen, uh, one of the greatest chess player alive or whatever. He's talking to Joe Rogan, and he's talking about the difference between discipline and enthusiasm, and how, and I watched this documentary on him before, and how he would just like, he would want to get away from chess and have fun and relax, and like not take it as seriously in like like some of the other kids, how seriously they took it. And what he was saying was, it has to be fun for me. If it's not fun and enjoyable, then I no longer want to do it. And so, why the reason I should have a whiteboard to bring all these points together, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because, you know the reason the when we have these issues with whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, and we're just eating all the time and we can't lose weight, whether it's the phone stuff, right? Because part of the 15K step challenge is kind of working on that screen usage, and active versus passive dopamine. But when we bring this level of enjoyment to the work that we're doing, it doesn't even really matter what it is, and we keep it light and playful, and we stay interested in it. We're going to it's A, it's going to be more enjoyable. B, the quality of your work is going to go up. And that raises the enjoyment again, because when you do a job well, it's enjoyable, right? Um, I used to actually hate everything to do with the liquor stores. I fucking hated it. I hated all the paperwork. I hated all the stuff. Go pick this up, go pick that. I hated, I would complain about the vendors and how they were how they were dirt bags. I won't mention any names, not that they're watching my little dinky YouTube channel. But my point is, the same person, well, very different person. But today, I love everything about the stores. I can't wait to go back in right now. Yesterday, I had them measure the countertops because I'm redoing the entire counter on one of the stores. Um, I love, figuring out, like, okay, what product mix are we carrying? What products do we need to cut out? What products do we need to bring more on? What are we putting on deal this week? Blah 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 blah. I have a store that dropped like revenues by 40% because of a government thing, VTA coming in. But usually my typical response to that in the past would have been like, ah, fuck, like these fucking idiots, and like, why are they fucking doing it? And just getting pissed off and like shitty about it. But I'm like, hey, there's a million people that live in San Jose. Like, I know I can, like, let's figure this out. Like, how do we go about this? And so I have enthusiasm to solve that problem, right? And it's a serious matter. That's a serious matter. I mean, that's government stuff and VTA and like lawyers and lawsuits. But I want to bring this lightheartedness into it, and handle it that way. Um, so, anyways, the point of this is, we're so fixated on the problems of our fat loss and why it's not happening, that we don't actually get to be present in our work, in our interests. um and the thing is, 99 out of 100 of those problems are not actually problems. Count your calories, weigh yourself daily, lift weights 10, 20 minutes a day, get your heart rate up on purpose. Like, that's it. It's not a lot of stuff. You don't need to worry about all the stuff. So, anyways, that was my rant for this morning while I wait for the CPA. Better have the stuff ready. So, had to get a Yeti because, coffee's just always getting cold. So, now we got piping hot coffee all the time. Last but not least, if you want to join the 15K March Step Challenge, uh, leave a comment under this or DM me on Instagram. I will add you to the group, and we will build momentum and have some fun.